Hey everyone! This is going to be a super detailed guide that will be helpful for those planning to move to Vietnam or for those coming here to vacation with their families. If you happen to not find the information you need in the video, just drop a comment and we'll definitely try to help you out. I'm Sasha and this is Balia, and on our channel we share our travel experiences and how we find our comfort zone.
We've split this video into two parts. The first part will be useful if you're going to Vietnam for vacation. If you're planning to move here for more than a couple of months, we recommend watching all the videos. Here, we've gathered all the information about visas, organizational issues, housing options, bike rentals, tours, and ideas. You can find a complete list of questions with timestamps below the video. We've really gathered everything you might need. In the middle of the video, there will be a segment about the hot topic of whether they eat dogs here, and if you can bring your own dog to Vietnam. Don't be afraid. Or should I just eat it myself so the Vietnamese don't get any?
What's the easiest way to fly to Vietnam? We flew to Nha Trang from Kyrgyzstan with a layover in Chengdu, China. The journey took up pretty much the whole weekend, even though we spent no more than 6 hours. In the air total, the rest of the time was taken up by the layover. There are also flights with transfers in Dubai, Kuala Lumpur, and Delhi. Here, you decide what's more important for you, paying less or getting there faster. You can also check out the website trip.com. They're also available on Avia Sales. You just need to check the box that says you can pay with a foreign card. In Kazakhstan, Dubai, Kuala Lumpur, and Delhi, you do not need a visa to transfer to your next flight. But if you're flying through China, then this information is for you. If you're only transiting through one Chinese city and your layover is no longer than 24 hours in the same airport, you won't need a visa. They didn't even stamp our passports when we crossed the border. We were the first ones taken off the flight, and were led through some roundabout way to the waiting area for the next flight. By the way, I named Chengdu Airport one of the coolest airports I've ever been to. It has everything you need to wait out a long layover. A smoking room for my husband, exercise, food shops, Starbucks, and KFC for me. The only downside is that you won't be able to access social media here because they're banned in China. In short, there are quite a few options to get here, but the prices can be pretty steep. But on the flip side, you're flying halfway around the world for 100,000 rubles for 2 people. It makes sense to bring along some dollars or euros, at least to buy something or grab a bite at the airport. In Vietnam, you could easily exchange cash dollars or euros, and it's best to do it at jewelry shops. The rates there are better and higher than at banks. We covered this in detail in one of our videos, but to keep it short if you're coming here. For 14 to 20 days, just grab a SIM card at the airport and don't stress about it. In hotels, in those cafes, and in most of the apartments you can rent here, there's definitely Wi-Fi. And if you're planning to stay for a longer period, check out another one of our videos where we talk about the prices of SIM cards and how to choose a provider. What medications should I bring with me? I would recommend bringing a jar of Polysorb or other absorbents. Panadol for sunburns. And if you're planning to bounce around too, how to replace the word. The sticks. If you're planning to wander around in the sticks, then you should bring something for insect bites. Basically, you can buy all of this here too, just like any other medicine for any situation, from stomach issues to the common cold. But at this point, it's up to you. If you don't feel like trying to explain to the Vietnamese what exactly you need, you're allergic, and you're hesitant to try new medications and all that, it's better to bring a list of your medications with you.
You don't need it for the visa, but it's up to you to decide. If you're ready to cover any expenses out of pocket if something happens, then don't bother getting insurance. If you get bitten in the ass by a monkey on Monkey Island, a rabies shot will cost you 2 million VND. If you're planning to rent a bike, it's better to get insurance. If it doesn't work out, who knows, someone might come out with a phone in one hand, a cigarette in the other, their grandma's coffin in the back seat, while turning left with their right turn signal on. What phrases are better to learn? In Nha Trang, English is rare. Learn Vietnamese. Here, you're more likely to hear the price in Russian than in English. You can learn a few basic phrases in Vietnamese. It won't cost you anything, and the locals will appreciate it. Hello? Hi. Come on. Đại Tuyến. Baonu. How much does it cost? Fine, I'll buy. So you'll never go hungry. How do you choose a city? It depends on your criteria. Our priorities were affordability, access to the sea, and enough infrastructure for a comfortable life. So we immediately ruled out Ho Chi Minh City, Hanoi, and Dalat. For a beach vacation, you can consider Nha Trang, Da Nang, and Phu Quoc. About Da Nang and Phu Quoc, I can only share what we found online and what we heard from friends. Phu Quoc is just a tourist scene. I was also entertained by a lot of jellyfish. And there, from May to December, it's the rainy season. Da Nang is a more modern, larger city. There are a lot of entertainment options and Europeans there, and that's where the most popular attractions in Vietnam are located. The Hands of God and the Dragon Bridge. We chose Nha Trang because there are affordable apartments by the sea and a ton of shops. You can touch on Dalat if that's not an important criterion for you. A more laid-back pace of life, a large community. And it's generally considered that, even though it's touristy, it's the cheapest city in Vietnam. Also, the rainy season here is different from the rest of Vietnam. If it starts everywhere in May, in Nha Trang it only begins in October. So, when you're planning your vacation in advance, make sure to Google when the rainy season is here. The sea will most likely be cloudy and choppy, but the weather will remain warm. But if you come here during the rainy season, be prepared for it to be really wet.
We came to relax in Nha Trang. What a go! To relax, yeah. Nha Trang, coastal. The city stretches along the sea, split into center and north. The center is lively, with tourist and local activities. Cafes and shops are everywhere. The beach stretches across the city, allowing swimming almost anywhere, but only the center and north are well maintained. The center has constant waves, while the north is calmer with less tourist activity. You can grab a lounge chair, an umbrella, and a coconut. The center offers paddleboard rentals, banana boat rides, and a kids' play area. What can you see in the city and its surroundings? Temples, nature, the sea, islands, and you can go on a tour somewhere. Overall, I recommend checking out whatever catches your eye in blogs or on YouTube. How do I find things to see? I Google articles in travel blogs, check out collections, pictures, or videos on YouTube. You can pretty much book everything as a tour with a guide and not worry about transfers, food, or timing. Or you can travel like we do as free spirits. Now, I'll quickly list the places we've already been. In Nha Trang, there's a really cool waterfront that stretches all across the city, and if you're totally adventurous like us, you can walk the whole city along the shore from the south all the way to the north. Well, that's just. By the way, you should go check out the Big White Buddha. And there's a really beautiful Buddhist temple, Kadabeo. We're currently filming this video here. It's better to go there closer to sunset, meet the monks, and enjoy coffee with a stunning view of the sea and mountains. Here's the sea, and over there are the mountains. The Cham Towers of Panagar. The Honorable Chong Rocks, and if you love mountains, you can hike up Angel Mountain. These are 3 peaks in the north, but I'll warn you right away, it's better to go either at dawn when it's not so hot or right before sunset. We tried to hike up on Saturday around 3 p.m., but we couldn't. It was way too hot. Orchid Island. This is a must-have for everyone who comes to Nha Trang. Just take a look at the photos and videos on the screen, and it's like the embodiment of a tropical paradise. And there's also a zoo, a waterfall, and super clean water. Don't buy tickets from the guides. You can get to the island on your own. You take a taxi to the Long Phu Pier and buy tickets to Orchid Islander. 1 ticket for both ways. On the way back, the boat also stops at Monkey Island. We didn't go there, but our friends said it's not worth your time. Plus, monkeys really do bite tourists there quite often. People ask almost 3 to 4 times a week what to do if a monkey bites you. If the weather's good, definitely go snorkeling. That was our first tourist experience here, and I was absolutely thrilled. In the description, we'll leave the contacts for an English-speaking agency. They offer tours cheaper than the Russian guides, and the quality is super great. And now, we've had a lot of Germans visiting us. They also offer diving, paddleboarding, fishing, and a bunch of other tourist activities. We also went to a sheep farm for a tour. You can run around with the sheep, take some cool photos, and sip on the local wine. Of course, we shouldn't forget about Ben Pearl. This is an island in Nha Trang that's completely filled with resorts, hotels, spas, and an amusement park. We'll make a separate video about it soon. Of course, we will not list all the popular tourist locations. Here, you can read and see for yourself what you like best and where you want to go. And now let's move on to the topic that people ask about almost every day in the Telegram chats.
Okay, you've arrived in Nha Trang, following our tips. Where are you planning to have lunch? Where do you want to go? And there, we put together a selection of the tastiest cafes in the city, in our opinion. In the center, there are several small two-story Plotomart case-form markets, as we are used to. You can buy clothes, a suitcase, toiletries, and more there. In general, everything you might need for your vacation. It's cheaper than at the little shop around the corner, and you'll have a bigger selection. You can confidently grab everything there except for vegetables and fruits, because the fresh, tasty fruits are at the market. Another option is to order food through Grab. Here, you can easily order ready-made meals from cafes and restaurants, or stock up at the same Plotomart and not have to go anywhere. Overall, the city has no shortage of shops and cafes, so you definitely won't go hungry. And don't forget to grab some dried mango or durian to take with you. 2 spots, Night by Lotus, Chatham. Haggle, night market in the center opposite Lotus and Chatham Market. How do you get around the city? On foot. There are several options. Bike, taxi, motorbike taxi, bus. On foot. Each mode of transportation has its downsides. Bike. You can definitely rent a bike, but if you don't need to go somewhere every day and you don't want to worry about, oh no, where's my favorite bike, my beloved bike, then it's better to choose one of the following options. You can learn more about bikes in the part of the video about the dangers in Vietnam. Taxi, motorbike taxi. To order a taxi or motorcycle taxi, you can download the taxi app, InDrive or Maxim. You don't need to link a card, and you can pay in cash. Motorbike taxis are cheaper than regular ones, but they're a different experience. You can't take your whole family on one. If you're not used to sitting on the back of a scooter, you might be in for a surprise. Buses. The only problem with buses is that they're elusive. They run very infrequently, and it's unclear what their schedule is. So either on foot or by taxi if you're going somewhere far.
The dangers of Vietnam. What dangers do tourists face in Vietnam? In short, bikes, viruses, the sea, and thieves. Let's briefly go over each point. Tails. We've talked about this before, and not just once. Vietnamese people have been behind the wheel since they were practically in diapers, but they drive like it's a total free-for-all. That's why accidents happen here often, especially with tourists who aren't used to this driving style, or who get caught up in the excitement and start driving like the locals. The roads outside the city are pretty dangerous too. Serpentine roads near cliffs, narrow roads where regular buses, trucks, and so on and so forth drive. So it really comes down to your driving skills, attention, safety, and common sense. You don't need a license to rent a bike. They are all given here, but it's definitely better to have an international license with a category that allows for bikes. If a cop stops you, you'll have to pay him an unofficial fine. 200,000 dong, so keep riding and enjoy yourself. Viruses. We talked about various illnesses you can catch from food in our video about food, so I won't repeat myself. The sea. First of all, there are times in the sea when there's a season for poisonous jellyfish, including the Portuguese man-o'-war. The bluebottle is a very dangerous jellyfish with neurotoxins. If you don't take action in time after a sting, it can lead to a fatal outcome. Know what to do if stung by this jellyfish. Avoid it. Beware of rip currents. If you see something like this on the beach or in the water, it's best not to go in. There's also a phenomenon here called rip currents. Of course, you won't often see this phenomenon on a city beach, but outside the city, on all sorts of beautiful beaches, yes. So, be more careful. Now, let's talk about theft. Yeah, that's true. In 6 months, we haven't personally encountered anything like that, but we constantly hear stories about theft at the beach or someone snatching a phone right on the street. How to avoid becoming a victim of theft. Don't take valuable items to the beach, or buy a special waterproof case for your phone and money and swim with it. Don't flash your phone around when you're walking along the road. If you're in a crowded place, keep your bag pressed against your body and hold it with your hand. Don't wear your backpack on one shoulder. It's easier for someone to snatch it from you. For people with bikes, there are plenty of bike parkers here. Pay 10,000 dong. Leave your bike with this guy for safekeeping, and then you can blame him if your bike gets stolen. Well, that's about it. Can you bring a dog with you? In short, yes, but keep a close eye on her. Of course, the Vietnamese are already moving away from their old habits of eating dog meat, but it is still found even in such a fairly developed and touristy city as Nha Trang. Although young Vietnamese seem to love dogs, they get these fluffy little dogs and walk with them on the beach every evening. We saw dogs being roasted on a spit a couple of times in the local areas and on the road to Dalat. Here's what the locals told us. If your dog is small, there's nothing to worry about. Neither those who want to sell her nor those who want to eat her will be interested. If the dog is big, though, she might get stolen. Neither those who want to sell it nor those who want to eat it will be interested in it. If the dog is big, she might get stolen. First, to sell her at the market to those who would eat her. Second, to get a ransom for her later on. On the outskirts of the city, there's a specific place where these dogs are resold or sold off. So, if your dog happens to get stolen, first, don't panic, don't lose hope. You've got a couple of days to look for her. Right away, write in the group chat. They'll help you figure out who to contact to find her. But most likely, for a certain amount as a ransom. Questions for moving. Visa run. So, let's say you've decided to stay in Vietnam, but you only have a visa-free period of 45 days. How can you legally extend your stay in Vietnam? The super expensive option is to leave for a week to some neighboring country and get an electronic visa for 3 months. The most popular option is a visa run, where you're taken by bus to cross the border into Laos, and that way you extend your stay for another 45 days. The visa run is organized very comfortably. In the evening, you get on a sleeper bus. It's a sleeper bus, like the ones you find on trains. At 6 in the morning, you arrive at the Vietnam-Laos border, cross the border, and pay 50,000 dong when you exit Vietnam. And then, at the entrance to Vietnam, there is also 50,000 dong. And now you have a stamp in your passport that lets you legally stay in Vietnam for another 45 days. I'm filming a video right here in the temple now, and the guys came to watch. Important little details. Last time at the Laos checkpoint, they also asked us for a bribe of 20,000 dong. So, before the visa run, make sure to stock up on some change. Point 2. Don't break down at the checkpoint. In Vietnam, just hand over those poor 50,000 dong. Once, a tourist called the police to complain about bribery, and the entire line was detained for almost a whole day. In short, the border crossing process itself takes about 2 hours. At September 9th, 30 in the morning, you are already heading back. You are taken for lunch and, at about 1800 hours, the bus brings you back. The cost of the visa run is usually around 1,250,000 dongs per person. For me, the visa run seems like a really unpleasant experience because I get motion sickness on the bus, and you're stuck in it for almost a whole day. But this practice is well known, and some people have been living here like this for 10 years. You might be wondering, what if they don't let me back in? Do I have to go back every time with all my stuff? No, they let everyone through here. Everything's fine, just make sure to leave. The deadline, the last day you can cross the border without a fine, will be noted on the stamp in your passport. And let's talk about bribes.
How to look for housing and how to choose it. If you're not going on a tour and not booking a hotel, like we mentioned earlier, the first thing you need to do is figure out which area you want to stay in. Then the plan is simple. Rent a hotel for a week in the center or in the north, depending on where you think you want to stay. You can book hotels on any aggregator sites, and if you don't have a foreign card, almost everywhere here has the option to pay on site. Okay, you've arrived, but how do you find a place to stay? Surprisingly, but it's pretty basic. In the Telegram chats, just type Nha Trang rental and you'll find a ton of groups. There, you find options, message the realtor, and go check them out. They've really figured out the whole Telegram thing, and now every agency creates its own channel where they post apartments. If you already know which building you want to live in, you can just go there during business hours and ask at the reception how to rent an apartment there. They'll guide you and show you everything. Apartments here sell quickly, so if you like a place, leave a $100 deposit to hold it. Don't pay the realtor. That's the landlord's job. You'll be asked to leave a deposit equal to 1 month's rent. It's a formality. As long as you don't wreck the place, you'll get your deposit back. In 100 out of 100 cases, you will be asked to leave a deposit equal to 1 month's rent. It's just a formality. As long as you don't completely wreck the place, you'll get your deposit back. In many apartments, you'll find housing, from tiny ants to lizards. You can get rid of ants with a simple spray can, which you can find in every store, and just leave the lizards alone. They'll just be joking around behind your closet. All the Vietnamese believe that having lizards in the house is a good sign. Now, let's talk about prices. Housing prices range from 3 million to 10 million for a studio. It all depends on the building and the location. Our friend is renting a studio in the center for 4 million. We're renting a studio in the Skinny Bay condo. This is the most expensive residential complex in the north with 38 floors, and the rent also includes a pool. There's also a kids' room. It costs 9 million dong a month, plus utilities, 1.5 million. One downside is that there aren't many shops nearby, and it takes about 10 minutes to walk to the nice beach, but overall, we really like it here. There's another residential complex nearby, Oceanus. It's older, and this place is a hub for Russian-speaking expats and Chinese tourists. There are tons of shops, cafes, and the beach is right across the street, but you choose for yourself. I hope this part was helpful for you.
The second most popular question is, where can I get a local bank card? Nowhere. If you don't have a 1-year visa or residency permit, then honestly, no Vietnamese bank will issue you a plastic card. But they'll be happy to open an account for you. You can withdraw through crypto and take out cash at ATMs or pay using a QR code. It's super popular here. Even the grandmothers along the road have a QR code for payment. If you receive a salary from a foreign company, you can open a dollar account at AgriBank or Technocom Bank, and then come to them and withdraw cash dollars from the cash desk. You may have to go to several branches to open an account. And sometimes the Vietnamese don't really understand what you want, and it's easier for them to say sorry, no than to figure out whether they can open an account for you or not. But don't give up. I actually managed to do it on my very first try. So no matter what currency you have, you can always withdraw money and spend it. We hope this video was helpful for you.
Feel free to ask your questions about Vietnam in the comments, and if we missed anything, we'll make a second part of this guide.
Thanks for subscribing and for your likes.